First news, Kevin Miller joined by Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, good morning. State of the Union tonight. What do you think the president will focus on as his major discussion?
Hey, Kevin, it's good to be on with you. I think the president will focus, as most presidents do, on what's happened over the last year. We've had, a healthy, growing economy. Just for people who work with their hands and work on their feet are growing at a faster rate than any year. It's something to celebrate. And we expect that's going to continue to improve with the new tax bill. You've seen lots of companies, including companies in Arkansas like Walmart and Bank of the Ozarks, announce raises. They've announced bonuses. They've announced stock awards to their employees. And we think that tax bill, along with the president's effort, it's a more sensible, smarter regulatory approach, is going to continue to help reward Arkansas and American businesses and workers. I suspect it's also going to take stock of what's happening in the world. We should be rightly proud of the men and women of our armed forces who have nearly vanquished the Islamic State in its physical caliphate. The commander in the Middle East, Joe Votel, has said they expect that operation to be complete in a matter of weeks, not months. Of course, destroying Islamic State on the ground doesn't mean destroying it entirely, though, because it still has terrorist cells around the world and still operates online. But we should celebrate what our men and women have accomplished in Iraq and Syria. And then I'll look to the threat of North Korea, too.
All right. Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KARN. The DACA program, negotiations there are still underway. And do you feel there's going to be an agreement before the deadline, or is there going to be another government shutdown? And is that something the president's also going to bring up tonight?
I do believe the president will talk about the immigration framework he proposed last week. I think it's a very good framework. It takes a lot of both parties. Kevin, you there?
Yeah, you dropped out. I've got you back. Go ahead and continue with what you were saying.
What I was saying was brilliant, I'm sure. I'll try to recapture it for you.
And I was thinking brilliant thoughts at the same time, So,
so I think the president's framework draws from various proposals of different congressmen and senators in both parties. It is generous and humane towards the people who were brought here through no fault of their own as minor children, but it's also responsible. It recognizes that if we give legal status and ultimately citizenship to up to 1.8 million illegal immigrants, we have to take steps to secure our border to discourage more illegal immigration that action would otherwise encourage. We also, to be fair and responsible, have to end the practice of extended family chain migration, because otherwise those 1.8 million new immigrants, newly legalized immigrants, would be able to legalize up to 3 to 3.5 million of their extended families, ultimately getting out to aunts and uncles and cousins and so forth. So the president will focus on preserving the nuclear family reunification policy of spouses and minor kids, but stopping the, in my opinion, counterproductive practice of allowing extended family chain migration. That's a reasonable and responsible, but also a humane and generous approach to this problem.
Kevin Miller, along with Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KARN. As I understand, as a part of that negotiation, funding for the border wall, critics are saying that the president is using people as pawns to fund his wall.
No, that's not the case at all, Kevin. Again, the president has said, as have most Republicans, that they would like to give legal protections to these people, about 1.8 million, who were brought here as minor kids through no fault of their own, before the age of accountability. But if we do that, we have to take stock of the real-world consequences. And the real-world consequence is it's going to encourage more illegal immigration. It's going to say to parents around the world, especially those parents who can move over land to get here, come to America, and one day your child, too, will become an American citizen. The way to solve that problem is to spend the money necessary to secure our border with a physical barrier, with technology, with new Customs and Border Patrol agents. That is a responsible approach to a problem that needs to be solved.
Kevin Miller with Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KARN. As the sitting senator from Arkansas, from our state, what would you like to hear the president say that directly relates to us, specific to Arkansas?
Well, there's a lot of things that the president is going to talk about, Kevin, that may not be specific to Arkansas, but make a big difference in most Arkansans' lives.
Such
like
as?
All those Arkansans that have gotten a pay raise because of the tax bill, all those Arkansans who are not going to be fined by their federal government for not being able to afford the health care or the health insurance that Obamacare made unaffordable. But there are other things that we haven't touched on yet that will have a big impact on certain Arkansas communities. take, for instance, our defense budget. I think the president's going to propose a major defense budget increase, which will be a big boost for the Little Rock Air Force Base airmen and their spouses and their kids, and the entire Jacksonville and Central Arkansas community and economy, as well as our National Guard and our Air National Guard. I hope he's going to touch on trade relations and what his plans are going forward to help ensure access to markets around the world for Arkansas's farmers. Those are some issues that I think most Arkansans are going to be looking at tonight, even if they also, of course, benefit people in Tennessee and Missouri and Mississippi.
Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KARN. Senator, I'm going to turn to our own Robin Caesar. She has a question.
Hey, Senator. So CIA Director Mike Pompeo told the BBC there'd been no significant diminishing of Russian attempts at subversion in Europe and the U.S., and he says that he does expect Russia to target midterm elections later this year. So my question is, why haven't we imposed sanctions against Russia yet?
So Director Pompeo is correct. This is not a new practice that Russia does. They've been doing this for decades. Some of our listeners may remember the massive protests in 1983 about the deployment of intermediate-range nuclear missiles to Europe. We now know, because of declassified documents, that Soviet intelligence services were behind much of the funding for those protests. Likewise, if you oppose hydraulic fracturing for oil and gas, you've probably been influenced by Russian disinformation campaigns. You're right that there was a decision due yesterday about imposing new sanctions on Russia. The State Department has announced that they're going to postpone that imposition. Some of the details of that, Robin, are classified, but I am eager to get the full classified briefing to understand their logic. I don't want to jump to conclusions to say that they made the wrong decision, but I generally think that we should be taking a firmer line with Russia and that we should be drawing more boundaries with Vladimir Putin on this kind of behavior.
Now, do you oppose the White House then not imposing the sanctions they were supposed to?
Kevin, I need to get the full classified briefing before I can make a final assessment. In general, though, I believe in drawing firm boundaries around Vladimir Putin's conduct, whether it's the invasions he's conducted in places like Ukraine and Georgia, or the meddling in the elections in places like the United States and Great Britain and France, Germany, and other European countries.
Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KARN. One more question. Rumors you might make a run for the presidency. Is that a future consideration for you? And would you like to announce that candidacy here today?
That's a good one, Kevin.
Thank you.
I very happy to be serving the people of Arkansas in the U.S. Senate, and everything I do besides serving them in the Senate in terms of campaign activities is geared towards keeping our majorities in the Congress and then being prepared to run for re-election. The people of Arkansas want to send me back in 2020.
Senator Tom Cotton, good conversation. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Kevin.
Have a good morning.